And one other thing, fried frog. Oh, hey everybody, how's it going? Zach Clayton, community pay it forward, community dare to care, with my good buddy Joel White from across the pond. Two guys just trying to make a living, making people feel better. So, Joel, how you doing, brother?
I'm all right, mate. Honestly, however I feel before our show starts, the intro music is just—I love it. It gets me in a
Yeah.
dancing mood. It makes me get my head on. And what I didn't say to you before, I had a look on the YouTube page where his shows get put on the Pack channel, and I love the intro page, which is literally that intro music. Honestly, I sat there and I just listened to it 5 times in a row. I just love it. I just love
It
pressing that
actually,
button.
it'd be really cool if I could find an entire song with that. Maybe I had to look into that and try to find the entire song for it. But
Oh, it's honestly, it's
it,
brilliant.
it's kind of, the way I saw it is, it reminds me of the old, me being a metalhead and you being over there in the UK. It just really reminds me of the old, without going too vulgar, it reminds me of the old punk days, and that kind of, just that mix mash of music. And I also think it's, I think it gets guys motivated. That's the kind of music that a guy, when he hears, you can't stay when you hear
Yeah,
that song, you got to move something. So,
yeah,
but as soon as I heard that, I knew that had to be the theme song for this one. But
I love it. I just love it.
so,
Yeah.
hey, everybody, it's January, another year
Woo!
rewired for men. But the thing is, we're not stopping at Rewired for Men. This year,
Yeah.
we are planning on doing a lot more. Joel and I have been discussing a few things. You guys have met Shemaine, who's going to be part of another show that we're going to be opening up here very, very soon, and
Mm,
we're going to be bringing in a show where we make sure that we're all talking together, where men and women
yeah.
can work together. And the greatest thing about that show, and this is the reason why you should really, really watch and participate on that show, guys, if there's something that you've always wanted to say to your wife, you just don't know how, we're going to have somebody on who can help you navigate on how to say that. Now, if you're just going to tell your wife, you look ugly in that blouse, brother, you're on your own. Okay, we're not going to go fishing in that pond. That ain't happening. All right. So I mean, there, even though there's not much we're not going to touch on that show, that's something we ain't touching. All right. If you can't figure out how to tell your wife, you really don't want to wear that, unless of course you want everybody to think you're pregnant. That's all on you, buddy. So, but no, this really gets us a chance to take in and discuss things that you know we can hear from a female's perspective. And
Yeah,
ladies, join us on this
yeah,
show too. And that way, if you can approach a guy about something, this is a perfect way that we can take and communicate back and forth, and hopefully do it without a lot of the tension, because we can already kind of have a plan in place when we go into a difficult conversation.
yeah,
So
yeah. Because the other thing is pick up on that, Zach, as well. We did mention it last month when, was it last month, a month ago, we had actually Shemaine on. And the whole concept of our new show with Shemaine is it's NOL, nothing off limits. It really is going to kind of similar to what me and you do here, but bringing a female into that picture as well. And again, I think that's going to be really important. And it also, I will find it really useful hearing a female's perspective through some of the things that do come up, what I bring or you bring or she brings. And I think again, it's going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be challenging. Potentially, it might not be challenging, but it might be challenging. But it'll be really useful challenge. I really, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with with getting a second opinion before you go and talk. And especially with somebody who knows how to, look, as much as we'd like to say that we've got things figured out, we don't have everything figured out. There's no way in
No,
hell we could ever. I'm not even going to try to figure out a lot of stuff. I mean, that's just the way it is. But and there's kind of one thing that there's not a single man has figured out at all, and that's how to talk to a woman. None of us have that figured. None of us. Okay. And the second we think we have that figured out, they're going to prove to us you don't know it, buddy. You don't know squat. So having having Shemaine in
Sorry.
here and having her help us with this, I think is a great way. And again, women, I think that this is a great time for you to take in and come in and talk to us, and we can try to, because there are so many times, and Joel, we've both said this so often that look, how many times have we been saying the same thing, but we're arguing about it, and it doesn't have to be that way because we're saying the same thing. It's
Yeah,
like, wait,
yeah,
we're arguing and we're agreeing. It doesn't make any sense, but it's because of the way that we communicate. We communicate
yeah,
with other men differently. We communicate with women differently. And I I think a lot of times as men, it's because we try to change and even maybe even put some subtlety behind the message when
yeah.
it doesn't need to be that way. If we just speak out, if we just tell the truth, if we don't put the fluff on it, it might make it a lot clearer.
Absolutely. But again, there's another part of that which will come through more with having Shemaine on the show. And I think we touched on this before where men have gone to do that, but unfortunately, the woman has not been ready or able or understanding what to do and has perhaps not given perhaps the best response
Hmm.
to that. When a man has been vulnerable and they've gone blah blah blah, that I speak, and again, this is please don't women out there who listen to this or whatever, say I'm bashing women. I'm not. I'm going on my own personal professional experience. That when a man has been vulnerable to a woman almost like feels like she's in the headlights like a rabbit. And what can happen is they try several different ways. One way could be basically that they get angry with the man and say, "Man up, get your poo together, move on." Or they go, "Oh, let me tell you about my problems." So they go blah blah blah. Or they leave the room because they can't deal with it. It's too much for them to deal with. Or they might offer them a tissue because the man might start to cry. When really a man doesn't actually need any of that. He just wants the woman to listen and then kind of just reflect the odd thing back. Because usually what happens, again, we spoke about this before, the man will kind of find his own solution. But he just needs somebody to hold that space to reflect that back to them. And you don't need the woman trying to fix them, if that makes sense, which also can happen.
Yet
So
it
it's all quite interesting.
it makes complete and total sense. And the one thing that the one thing it also avoids is you getting that uncomfortable conversation. Stop
Yeah,
mansplaining to me.
yeah,
That whole term mansplaining, I mean, first off, makes you feel like an asshole because that's not what you're trying to do. All right. Not all the time. Some of you guys are terrible at that, though. I will tell you this: some of you guys are terrible at that. I've heard it sometimes, and I'm like going, "You got to be kidding me! What are you doing?" And I've probably done it before myself. I don't. I hope I haven't, but you know, I know I've made plenty of mistakes when it comes to that. But that's just one of the things that we've got going on. Joel, you and I are also starting something that's very unique and very incredibly useful for men. And why don't you
mm.
go on ahead and you tell everybody exactly what we're going to do here?
Yeah. The other thing what we can do is build upon the Rewired for Men podcast show by getting more men on our or women on the monthly show. So that will then generate greater shows for us, greater shows for our listeners, a place where people can feel safe to come on as guests, whether they're on camera or not on camera, to generate questions and get answers. And that then will then build into a separate project. And again, we touched upon with Shemaine, it seems ages ago last year in December. It was only like 3 weeks ago. But
Yeah.
anyway, one of the things in that was,
Hey, it was all the way last year.
I know,
I mean, it
we've
was
gone
a
through a
year
time
ago.
warp. But
So
anyway, one of the things we are looking at doing is doing a Rewired and then online men's group. And it's going to literally be what you've seen our format together on the shows at, but doing it with a group of men. And, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really excited about that already. And what I'm really looking forward to is it's going to be great bouncing things off each other, me and you, but also kind of bring that into the group of men where it's, well, I guess the way to look at it, it's going to be beyond the peer support group. It's going to be men really supporting each other. Because again, we've talked about this. Men are natural fixers. That's a gift and a curse, but generally they are. And if you get a group of men on the same page who want to sort stuff out, then that can only help each other to do that. And at the same time, bringing in, I was telling somebody about this today, bringing in a space where men are held accountable, where men are held responsible for their actions. And that will be definitely at the forefront of the Rewired for Men men's group. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're really going to focus on, and one of the reasons why we're really going to be a little bit different than other groups like this, is that, you know what? Yeah, we're first off, it's not going to be on a podcast. Okay, it's not going to be on a
No.
podcast. This is going to be something that we're going to do within the men's group themselves. That's it. Okay, so there is going to be a bit of privacy there. But one of the things that we're going to allow you to do is, if we got a group of men and somebody comes in and says, look, I've got this problem, I'm just not comfortable sharing it with everybody. Can I get put
Mm,
into a room with Joel? Can I get put into a room with Zach? Can I get put into a room with Shane, somebody else who's in the group, so I can explain to him, because I've heard him talk about this and I
yes.
think he can help me through this. That's what we're going to do,
Yeah.
because this isn't the Joel and Zach show.
No.
That's not what this is. This is us trying to give men a place to go and stop banging our heads against a wall and actually come up with viable reasons why we're here, and how we can get around things. This isn't just a group going, you know what, shut up, sit back and listen to what we've got to say because we're brilliant. We
Mm,
are, but I mean, we don't need you to think that. We already know we're brilliant. We got it under control. But this is something where we're going to ask you to bring as much as you take out of this. You bring your experience, you bring your life, you bring
absolutely.
it in. And I mean, this isn't it's not going to be any of the foo hi, my name is, and I'm the don't look at the AA model and think that's what this is going to be, because no, it's not. This is going to be, you're going to come in, you're going to participate at your comfort level. And if there's something that you need to explain, if there's something that you need to get off your chest, we're going to ask you to do it at your comfort level. Okay.
Absolutely. But I think the other thing to come in on that, and again, we've talked about this before. Yes, if you want to contribute and get something off your chest at the problem, that's great. But you're going to get men actually asking, providing support from their own experience, but also not holding you accountable, going, well, what are you going to do about that? You brought
Yeah.
this problem, da da da. What are you going to do about it? Because I think what can happen sometimes in men's group, and it happens over here. Obviously, I'm not going to name them who listen to this, but there are certain men's groups where men turn up, they go blah about the problems. The next man goes blah about the problems, which is great. That does help so far. But then the week after, they come back and do exactly the same thing again and go blah about the problems. No one holds them accountable. No one goes, what was your role in that? What are you going to do differently? What can you learn from that? That doesn't happen. And unfortunately, what happens is you get men who just love the sound of their own stories and they become victims of their own story. And no one challenges it. And for me, I don't think that's healthy. That's just my perspective, my personal opinion.
Yeah, I will completely agree with you. Look, if you're just spitting stuff out for it to hit your shoe and that's it, you know what? That's not
That's
it's
probably that. I remember that.
Yeah, that's it's definitely not good. I mean, next week, you're right. We're going to ask you, "Hey, you know what? This was your problem. What'd you do about it? You know,
Yeah.
where are you at with that?" we we're going to want to make sure that you're still okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's it's one of the things that's really our main focus is to make sure that you're okay. But yeah, we want to make sure that you're doing something about it and you're not just coming in here, to complain every week. We don't,
Yeah.
look, we're guys. We don't want to hear everybody complain every damn day, especially if they're not going to do something about it. I mean, if you're
That
just going to
that's
come
the
in,
key bit.
like I said, if you're going to come in and open your mouth just to let it hit your shoe, then this probably isn't going to be the best place for you. If you're wanting somebody to come in and tell you, look, this is what I did. Have
Yeah.
you considered doing something similar to this? And you're actually going to take the advice and you're going to walk towards opening those doors and helping yourself. Then this is going to
Yeah.
be a great group for you. So in
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and this group, there is going to be we were going to settle on $20 a month, right? Is that I
Something
think
like
is
that.
yeah.
It sounds
we're
about right. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do like $20 a month for to get started, and that's just so we can make sure that we are really getting people in who are very very interested in not just helping themselves,
Yes.
helping others. We want to open this up to where, you know what, we are helping each other. So we're probably going to run it like every other week, maybe once a month to get started. We haven't
Yeah.
figured that out. Probably closer to once every other week, just because I'm comfortable with that. And
Absolutely.
you know
Absolutely.
and let's be honest, we do want to make sure that you're doing okay, and if we only do it once
Yeah.
a month, that's really hard to maintain that. But I mean, the other thing that you're going to have with this men's group is you're going to have a direct access to myself and Joel, and you're going to be able to get a hold of us. It's of course going to be easier for everyone else across the pond to get a hold of Joel. He's over there, and here in the States, you're going to be able to get a hold of me a little bit easier. But I mean, it's I it's something I am looking forward to. I really am.
Absolutely. But I think the other thing to emphasize, and again, if people have been watching our show, what they need to understand as well is it's not an opportunity to women bash either. Because some guys do that at these groups. You just, oh, it's all the woman's fault, and she did this, and she did. And no, it's not. And if people have been watching our shows, we don't woman bash on here either. You know what I
No.
mean? And again, it's really important to do that. And for me, it's really important for men to empower themselves and take accountability and responsibility to move forward. And in doing so, that improves the relationship with women, and women can then improve their relationship with men. It's a twofold process. And for me, when I look back over my personal experience of some of the events I've been in, it takes two people for a relationship to work, and it takes two people for it to break down. And I've worked with quite a lot of men who've been in very difficult relationships and previous difficult relationships, well as women. And it's when people talk about abusive relationships, it's not all the woman's fault and it's not all the man's fault. It takes two people involved in that situation, and I think that can be really hard sometimes to actually go, well, actually, I also was part of that abusive relationship. I made actions that could have been better. I actually probably encouraged that person more or whatever. But that's the piece of accountability and responsibility, because how else are you going to learn and break those patterns by not recognizing your own involvement in that dysfunctional relationship? And some of it, what I've also had to look at is if there's a dysfunctional relationship with somebody else, it's probably that there's an influence in there that I might have a dysfunctional relationship with myself at the time, if that makes sense. And I think that's really important to emphasize again, based on what we've been talking about, also what will be coming up um, in our men's group going forward. Is it really does come back to that.
Yeah.
And the other thing which I think is important, sorry, Zach, I'm going off on one because this has come up recently, that you might have two people in a relationship that is difficult, and it might be the man or the woman who starts to do the learning and the development to want to make it a healthy relationship. But one person can't do that alone. You need the other person on board. And if that other person isn't going to join you, then it's like as Elvis did. It might be time to exit stage left. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And again, that can be difficult for people to deal with. but it's important. It's important for the quality of life of that individual and to some degree that other person. Because maybe in the future you might turn around and thank you for it. I don't know. So these are just food for thought in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And look, I mean, truth is when I was a younger version of myself, you know what? I don't know how many times I was in relationships that, well, it's all her fault that this happened. Bullshit. No, it wasn't. It was never all their fault. Never. I mean, I made so many mistakes
Yeah,
through, and but the thing is and Joel, one of the great things about your program is no matter what those mistakes I made, your program really shows people is those mistakes are done. You live with that because you know what? What's done, it's done.
yeah,
Grow. Let's grow. Let's
yeah.
let's take let's turn off that anxiety that decision made. Let's turn that off because you know what? You can't turn it back. You
No,
cannot turn it back. And you need to take and open this next. You need to take and rewire your brain, reset your brain to realize that's done. Can't do nothing about it.
yeah,
You know what? And the longer you sit there and you focus on that, the harder it is on your brain to move forward. Because if all you're
absolutely.
doing is thinking about what happened, you can't move forward.
Absolutely. And again, it's that accountability piece as well, isn't it? And that responsibility piece, with that. All that comes into it. And then, again, that's why I love what I do to Rewire for Men. That's, you've been through it, other men have been through it, and it works. And that to be honest, that's what a big piece of Christmas in the time warp period, Christmas to New Year. I've been looking through my client notes. I've been looking through the initial questionnaires that men complete and the evaluations. And, my best buddy chat GTP has been really helpful because it's really allowed me to feed that into it and for it to analyze all the information. Actually, yeah, it is working what you're doing. And this is why, and these are the changes what are happening. This is the percentage of men that have gained from it. And yeah, that's been a really empowering for me. Do you know what I mean? Because that was I guess no, this is slightly off piece, but that would have took me hours and hours to do that manually to get to those conclusions. I might not even have got to the detail of what I got to. And so, that's been really encouraging for me coming into the new year, setting out what I want to do. And again, someone talked about it before. It's I've not necessarily set any New Year's resolutions. What I've set and someone spoke about in the meeting that I was at, it's New Year's intentions. I've made a list of intentions that want to happen for me personally and professionally, and that's what I'm working with. I've not set resolutions like I'm going to go and get a gym membership and I'm going to lose six pounds, or I'm going to become a vegetarian and I'm not going to eat any meat. I'm not doing that because I think a lot of men set themselves up for fail by doing resolutions, and it should actually be intentions. And the piece, what was really interesting, because all this has come up and this person spoke about it, he talks about goal setting, and again, it makes perfect sense. And they were basically saying, what's the most important part around goal setting? And people are, in this group meeting, business meeting I was in, were going this and that, and he said, no, it's your why. What's your why? Because that's what's important about goal setting. What's your why? Why do you want to do it? Because if you nail the why down, the how about going to the gym 6 times a week or once a week or reducing on meat, it becomes irrelevant because it's the why what's important. And it was like, I get it. I'm clear about my whys coming into this year, and then the hows will happen one way or another. And that's not to say, Zach, it's guaranteed that all my intentions are going to happen by this time next year. But I tell you what, I'll have a greater success at it by going in with intentions than resolutions by this time next year.
Yeah,
That's
I've never.
really gets that.
Yeah, I've never been a fan, Joel, of resolutions. I don't think I've set a resolution since the '90s. Let's put it
Mm,
that way. Because what I want to do is every day when I wake up,
yes.
I every day when I wake up, it's the same thing. Okay. I want to make sure that I get out there and I do my best that I can help someone today.
Yeah,
My focus is on helping someone else today. That's it.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter if it is, January, waking up on going from, December 31st to January 1st,
yeah,
or if it's March 15th going to the 16th. Every day you have to wake up and have something consistent that makes a difference to you. Okay.
yeah.
We all can say, you know what, I want to lose weight. Well, we all say that. Okay. I want to lose weight. Hey, look at that. I lost 3 pounds. Oh shit, I just gained 5. You know, because because truthfully, you know, eh, that's not it, it's just not. I mean, if it's direly important to you, then good, go for that. But you've got to make
Yeah.
sure that you have to feel it, Joel. You can't just say, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay. I've told people that, look, when I quit smoking, when I quit smoking cigarettes, I was smoking 3 packs a day. And I mean, I had been smoking 3 packs a day for over 6 years. Okay.
Mm,
I wasn't just smoking because I wanted to smoke. No, I was smoking because I, and I've told you before, when I do something, I want to win a prize for it. I was smoking because there was nobody who was going to smoke more than me. All right. But on February 6th of, 18 years ago, it'll be 18 years this year. February 6th, 18 years ago, at 5 o'clock p.m., I put out the last cigarette I ever smoked because I made a
mm,
plan and I made a decision that, damn it, it's not, I want to quit smoking. I'm done. I'm done.
yeah,
I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I feel like crap. I smell like crap. I look like crap. Food tastes disgusting. I can't get a good night's sleep because I got to wake up 3 times to light a cigarette. It takes a lot to smoke 3 packs a day. Okay, buddy. It's not an easy thing to do. I can't finish a meal without smoking. You know, my kids, all they see is me smoking. I was
yeah.
done. I was done with it. And so I went to my doctor and I said, okay, you know what? What do I need to do? And I went to a doctor. He gave me, he said, well, what we can do is we can put you on a medication that'll help you with, with mental stability. And they put me on Wellbutrin. Okay. And I found something out very quickly. Zach don't like Wellbutrin. Okay. Wellbutrin makes this fat man go into a rage. I was bad. Within a week of Wellbutrin, I had to go in and get it switched immediately because it was a dang. I have never in my life felt darker than I did when I was on Wellbutrin. But
But do you understand? Do you understand the back? You know the story behind these drugs that they started to do to help people stop smoking. Do you know the background to them?
no,
Right. So the original background, obviously, things have changed. I'm not saying people out there poo-poo them. Listen to me. I'm not an expert. Again, this is my opinion, which is important for me to say that. This is my opinion. I'm not a medical
yeah,
expert. I'm not a doctor, but this is my opinion of what I've heard. So when I'm guessing you do have them in the. I don't know if it happened in the US or happened in the UK, but there are some people there who really do struggle with their mental health. They have mental illnesses where they are quite severe. They do need to be sectioned long term
hmm
for their own safety and the safety of society. I'm just putting it that way. And what they started to do is that some of these individuals really do struggle beyond I could even imagine around mental illness and things like that. So they use particular medications to curb them, basically, to help them and help others. And particular medication that they were doing this with to basically help people zombie out, I can't put it another way, was they actually cottoned on it was also what they also realized is that these individuals quit smoking. So some bright guy went, oh, I wonder if we can take a version of that and sell it on the open market and make money from it. That was the initial born base of the medication
Huh.
for quitting smoking. And what you're referring to there is in the original days of these medications, unfortunately, some people did take their own lives off
Yeah.
it, sadly enough. So I'm not.
Well, it
Your
is.
story is quite common.
Look, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it's an easy thing to do. I would
Mm.
never say that. That would be stupid of me because no, it wasn't. But if you put and God, I hate sounding like my parents here. But if you put your mind to it in it, and I'm not talking on put my mind to it on I think okay because thinking is dangerous. Thinking is dangerous, and thinking gives you an out. I think I want to quit smoking. You're not serious. You're not
No.
being serious. Okay. I think I want, well, you know what? After I was thinking about it a little bit, I decided I didn't want to. No, no. I want to quit smoking. I'm done smoking.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was done. I have not smoked since that day, since at 5 o'clock on February 6th, whatever, almost 20 years ago. And I, I truly believe that if you really, really want it, and if you're done with it, that's the best way for you to overcome any of it. So, and
Absolutely.
but it was weird. I mean, and this is one thing for those of you who are out there and are trying to quit smoking. Here's a little trick, okay? When it while you're going through the struggle, and it is a struggle, and we
Yeah.
understand that, and I am willing to talk to you if you need it. I will never tell you this is what you need to do because that's bullshit. You do what you need to do, okay? But the thing is that those when you get that curb, when you get that need, time it.
Yeah.
Seriously, time it. It lasts about 7 minutes. That
Yeah.
initial it lasts about 7 minutes, which is approximately how long it takes to smoke a cigarette. And then you can just get back to like grab a straw. This is one of the things that I did, and put that straw between your fingers like you were smoking a cigarette, put it in your mouth. I used to chew on boxes of straws. No kidding. That's one of the ways that I was able to do this. I would have straws in my mouth. I would chew the hell out of straws because I was, have them between your
Yeah.
fingers. That is one of the hardest things, is that you're so used to this. The only other bad thing about it is, and of course I moved it, the other thing I kept putting between my fingers and up to my mouth were candy bars. So I ended up gaining over 100 pounds. But I mean, the truth, seriously, there are things, and if you time it, it's 7 minutes. It helps you to get past that. For those 7 minutes, make sure that you can just take and do something. Like I said, grab a straw. Don't
Yeah.
grab a pencil. That's gross. But grab something and just kind of chew on it a little bit. Grab something and just keep moving it back and forth to your mouth. It'll help you get over, and it'll help you get through that a little bit. Okay. Again, always talk to your doctor, because your doctor is going to know a hell of a lot more than we are about who you are. But don't ever, ever, ever say, "Oh, I can quit smoking." Anybody? That's not true. Okay, it's not
No.
true. Everyone could quit smoking if they want to. Everyone could quit drinking if they want to. They just really have to want to. And I used to
Yeah.
tell people all the time, Joel, that I would quit smoking. I would quit drinking way before I quit smoking. That didn't happen. I
Yeah.
I I quit smoking, and then I continued to drink for probably about a dozen years after that. So, which is ironic because there's a lot of people who fail because they continue to drink in a place where they're used to smoking, or you get that alcohol going in you,
Yeah.
and you have that need for, well, I only smoke when I drink now, but I drink all the damn time, so
Yeah. And a lot of this ties into what we're talking about, is about that, about that why piece. Why do you want to do what you do, or why do you not do what you want to do? But also that personal accountability and personal responsibility piece. And funny enough, this fits right back into New Year's resolutions, what we talked about earlier, where people go, I want to lose weight, or You know, I want to get fit, but they're missing the underlying things, which is why did you put on weight in the first place? You know, why are you not exercising enough in the first place? Because if you don't understand that piece, you're kind of glossing it over with something else. And you know, you hit on something there, which is again, this is a reflection. This is my personal opinion and professional opinion. Some people who say have an issue around alcohol, they'll quit the alcohol before you know it. They then pick up something else, whether it's candy bars or it's smoking, or they'll quit smoking and then they'll pick up gambling, or they'll pick up something else, or they'll pick up a massive sugar rush, but because they've not actually dealt with the underlying thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I don't,
like
and
I said,
until you do that, then the situation is not really going to change, is it? From that
yeah,
degree.
and with me having an obsessive a thought in my head that I've got to win everything, you know, that's that was one of those things that I had to come to grips with is that,
Yeah.
I need to I need to let this go. You're not going to win a prize for being the world's best smoker. You're not going to
Mm,
win a prize for being able to drink more than anybody else. You're going to give yourself psoriasis. You're not going to win a damn prize. What you're going to win is a tube up your gut, and you're not going to be able to, live a good life. So, I mean, th- y- there are you need to figure out why you need, and let's call a spade here, that crutch. Okay.
yeah.
And smoking, alcohol, hell, my sodas, they are crutches. They really are. Caffeine, they are all crutches. But, you know, look, you could be the best person in the world with when you're doing whatever you're doing, but you know, you you could still be unhappy, and unless you want to put the effort towards it. And Joel, this is where this all began. Unless you want to put the effort towards it, you can't change whatever it is. Okay. Any
Absolutely.
You can't change anything. You can't change your socks without effort.
Yeah.
It's just true.
Absolutely. But again, you've hit on something there, which is again really important, and it's something that I've really cottoned on only in the last 2 or 3 years of my life, Zach, and it's something I try and live by each day, and that's the ability to use discernment. That if I make decisions to actually fully think through what I'm doing and also take responsibility for that. Even if it turns, someone said to me, if you're going to make a bad decision, Joe, at least go in there with your eyes wide open, not be naive later going, oh, I didn't realize it was a bad decision. No, like you said before, which is really stuck with me, Zach, it's not about making mistakes, it's about making poor choices. I
Yeah.
take ownership, take ownership for them, learn from them, do something different. And again, kind of what you said there, you're kind of aware that what the soda can is there. That in your words, it's a crutch. So you're not making, you're not blaming others. Where people are like, oh look, it's the media and it's the adverts and oh it's somebody else's fault. Yeah, but why are you pouring it? Why are you pouring it still in your mouth? Then if it's somebody else's fault,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? There's never I have never seen a diet cherry soda commercial that, with or without a woman in a bikini, that made me want to drink soda more. Okay, it's never I never seen that commercial. What it's done is made me go, "Damn, I got soda in my fridge. I'm going to go grab one." But you know what else has done that? Me, because I
Yeah,
drink a lot of damn soda. All right. You know, look, we do, and exactly what you just said there, Joel. We need to stop using other people for the reasoning for a crutch, for our
yes,
crutch. And I truly do believe that. I I don't make mistakes. I make choices.
yeah,
And that is so important. Because making a mistake would be, well, I didn't know the ramifications. Well, I
yeah,
didn't know that I could kill somebody if I got in my car after drinking. Bull. You knew exactly what could happen.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah,
mistake, it's a poor choice.
yeah,
Okay. I didn't know that if I did this, my wife and I could get into a fight and that would lead to divorce. Bull. You know who your wife is. You know who you are. You know
Yeah,
that there's boundaries. You know that that's not a mistake. It's a poor choice. It's, look,
yeah. No,
this is some,
absolutely.
I'm going to make this decision. And when I make this decision, it may be the wrong decision to make, but I at least go into it knowing fully what could happen.
Absolutely, and that is crucial. But also, what's important, what if people have been watching our shows? Me and you have never come on this show saying we've got all our shit together and we're perfect. Not
No,
not at
no,
all. So
no.
please don't people think that we're leading other people and saying we're better than them. No, we're being real. Despite me, we working in mental health and well-being field for over 12 years. Believe me, I'm still learning. I'm still working through some of my own shit. But I'm willing to take responsibility for that. Because what I try and do, which is really crucial in men's work, and we've talked about this before, there's loads of men out there who need help, but they're stuck in their mind, well, I'm tough, I'm hard, I don't need help, I don't need support, and blah, 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 and da, da, da. But, and like I said, I've mentioned this before, men very much operate by logic, reason, and reflection. And that can be a gift and a curse, particularly around mental health if men have problems and all the rest of it. That a lot of men won't even go for help when they're at their worst thing until it's last stop saloon and the bus has already left. So what I try and do, and for me it is hard to be. I try and practice what I preach on a daily basis, which means when I sit up and I make poor choices, I try and do something about it. I try and be authentic about it. I don't bury it under the carpet. And it can, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? There was a quote somewhere on a film I watched recently, it's absolutely true. And the irony of it is the person who said the quote actually took their own life. Because it's the idea of how difficult it is to actually be yourself. It's really difficult. Really, really difficult. And I feel that very few people can be 110% authentic themselves. I think it's really difficult. But if you can get as close as you can to that, you're doing really well, really, really well. And because it's always easier to be somebody else. It's actually
Yeah.
really hard to be yourself. So that's what I'm working on more and more to do
Yeah.
to do that.
Joel,
Because if
and
I don't do that, how can I expect men to come to me for support and be empowered to change their own shit? It's not going to happen.
yeah, and see, I think that that's one really important thing there is that, you know what, we're asking you to join our men's group because we need your help.
Yeah.
Okay. We need who you are. And you're right. We need you to be you. I've
Mm,
said this so many times. I know you all are sick and tired of it. I'm me. I am me. I don't need you to be like me. If you and I have some similar traits, okay, the hell's wrong with you? But if if you and I have some similar traits, that's fine. But I'm never going to ask you to be just like me
no.
because I'm me. I need you to be you. I can't learn anything from me. I can't because I know me. I know what I'm going to do in a day. I know, I know when I'm going to mess. I know when I'm going to mess up immediately. Okay, I I know when I'm going to make those stupid choices. I know.
Yeah.
I know. So I've been doing it for years, and I know exactly when it's going to happen. I have never made a mistake and sat there and go, "Oh, don't worry, this is going to be just fine." No, you knew it was going to end wrong. So but so we need people to be themselves because we can't learn if people are just like us. And that's one of the things that drives me crazy about right now. We want people to be just like us. No, we don't. God, no, we don't. I want people to be who they are. Even if they annoy me, at least I can learn something from them.
Yeah, and again, that's really crucial what you said, and it does. And this goes back to something I said before, and it is quite concerning. A lot of people would rather be somebody else because it's easier. It's easier to try and be somebody else and criticize others than it is to take responsibility for your own bullshit. And I think particularly in the big issue in the UK, not the US, you're brought up from a young age. It's always somebody else's fault that they
Hmm.
made you feel that way, and even now, I've had 35, 40 odd years of being brainwashed into that. And I'm really trying to learn, and I really mean that, trying to learn to actually, when my son does whatever he does at 8 years old, he's only 8 years old, and it's me who's making myself angry. He's not making me angry. And he's 8 years old. He's actually taught me quite a lot already from
Yeah.
that perspective. I shouldn't be having to go at my son because he's made me angry. No, I've made myself angry. He's 8 years old. What does he know? But I'm also being aware that he's picked up some of the patterns from me, and I'm like, shit, I need to do something about that.
Yeah.
To show him
Oh,
differently. It's not his
God.
fault. It's me. So,
Oh my God. My 30 plus year old son, he'll do something and I'll be like going, what the hell's wrong with, oh my God, I did that same thing. Oh my God, I did that with him. Yeah. And what can I say? Wait, damn it, free. Why'd you listen to me when I was drunk? What am I going to do? Yell at him for paying attention? So yeah, it is. I do. I get that so many times with my kids, and both of my boys are they've done did growed up. All right, and they'll come over, they'll say something, I'll be like, going, "Where in the hell did you?" Oh, I said that. I taught you that. So of course I always
absolutely.
go. I of course I always try to pass it off to like, man, when we find your real mom, we're gonna have to have a talk with her because I don't know what you were taught. So, and of course, my son's looking at me like going, Dad, you know exactly where that came from. And I'm like going, yeah, but shut up.
but
I,
all this
I,
is
I don't want
interesting,
to admit that. So stop. let's,
which is
let's
again
blame your
exactly as
mom.
said. That's the personal accountability. That's personal responsibility phase. If I want to change patterns for my son, it starts with me showing the way
Hmm.
to do it. And
Yeah.
at times when I have effed up, is what can I do to rectify that or show things differently? And this ties into some what I've talked about before. There isn't a perfect father out there. They are non-existent. They don't exist at all. And it sounds a bit crude to say it. We are going to traumatize our children. It's going to happen. It really is. I don't mean traumatizing that you like. So, Joel say it's okay to beat the shit out of my kid. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Please don't hear it that way. But indirectly, we will do that. And I guess what matters is at the same time, though, what can I do the best I can for my son? And it's a great book, and I've mentioned it before. It's a book called "There's No Such Thing as Naughty." And the basic general gist of the book is it's not about getting it right all of the time as a parent. It's about getting it right most of the time. If you get it right most of the time, you're doing really well. And also, which is interesting, I don't think I spoke about it here. There's a big push in the UK at the moment around more research and findings around trauma in childhood. They call it ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and even now it's still slow coming to the surface around changing practices around how to help young mums or how to educate mums that even the babies aren't even being born yet. And one of the things it was saying, and it makes absolutely perfect sense, and it basically said in this course, it did accept the fact that we are going to cause trauma for our kids, because a lot of parents don't want to hear that. They don't want
Yeah.
to
Oh
hear
no.
that. But it's true. And what it goes on to say is that one of the best ways you can reduce the impact of whatever trauma has been caused to your kids by you is 15 minutes of quality time 4 times a week. And research has shown that works. When I mean by quality time, I mean you turn your mobile phone off, you turn the TV off. It's just you and your child playing Lego together, doing a coloring book, playing cards, going for a walk, having fun, reading a story to them. That's quality time. And if you can do that 4 times a week, you know what that equates to, Zach? 60 minutes a week. How many hours are in a day, let alone a week? But most
Joel,
parents can't
that
do that, Zach. Most parents don't do it.
no, no, and from a guy who no longer has his kids at home, I mean that's a that's truly inspiring that because the truth is they grow up so damn fast and they're gone.
Hell yeah.
They're gone.
I know.
Okay. My one son is in Japan. I don't hardly ever get to see him. When he calls me and he's having a problem, all I want to do is be there. All I want to do is be there, but I can't be there now. You know what? I can be though. My lessons that I taught him can be there with him and
Yes.
hope and hopefully those lessons are strong enough that they can teach him something. You know,
Yes.
my son down in Denver, hell, I can't see him every day. You know, I don't get to see him every day, but the lessons I taught him, hopefully those stick with him, the good and the bad,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
those bad decisions that you made, those bad choices that you made, how did you get past them? How did you get, what did you
Yes.
do to rectify them? What did you do to get out? Did you blame someone else? Did you blame someone else? Because if that's what they saw, don't get pissed when your kid does that same thing. Okay. Well, if it wasn't for society today, I would have done the things different. No, 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 no. If I wouldn't have made this decision, then
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in this decision or this situation.
Yeah.
You got to stop blaming other people. You got to stand up. You got to put your own pants on. You got to build yourself up. If you need help, we're here to help.
Yeah.
But you got to stop. You got to start looking at yourself with everything that you make, and you got to look at your kids. And Joel, I love the fact that you brought your kid up because look, I love my boys with all my heart. There is nothing that I am prouder of than my two sons. I found out that here in about 3 weeks, my two baby granddaughters are coming over. You can see it on my calendar behind me. It says my grand girls are coming home. You know what? That's the next chance I have is my grandkids I
Yeah.
get to take. And when they're here, this stuff, this whole world that I'm building right now, working my ass off to build right now, it goes away because those girls mean
Yeah.
everything to me. And
Yeah.
that's what we've got to do. The
Absolutely.
lessons have to be there because they need the lessons when they grow up, but they need that time with grandpa. They need that time with
Absolutely.
grandma, and that's it.
Absolutely.
So,
All that is absolutely really important. But again, there's real emphasis with this, which again I'm really learning. I'm saying these things, but also believe me, I drop the ball now, and it is a constant reminder. Every day is a new challenge. Is all I'd say to that. But the bit where what really comes up, and I talk about this in Rewired and them, particularly from a male perspective. When I look at my son, I can clearly see it, not just talk about it. Half the things I say to him, one ear out the other. What he actually learns more from is observing me and me and my behaviour. That's what he learns more from, not necessarily what I speak to him. And bloody hell, that's hard. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It really is. But I've also found with I am teaching him well because he is actually, although he's 8 years old, he's holding me to account. I'll give you an example. I have, again, I'm not going into lots of detail, but I have an accountant currently at the moment, and they've just done things wrong in working out my tax bill for my CIC. And I got an email through on Friday of draft accounts that was said, "Oh, we've done your accounts, and your tax bill £3,500." What? 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 Really? And it was a lot to stomach at first. And to be honest with you, it did impact on me. I'm sure it would most people, but it actually made me quite frustrated, and that was impacting my time with my son. That's not the accountant's fault. It's my fault because I'm allowing that to come into the time between me and my son. And when he was in bed, I was doing something on the computer, and I can't even remember what it was now. And I just got angry and shouted the F word. And then I thought that's a bit of a bad idea. And then later on, I actually went in to give him a kiss goodnight, and he was actually still awake. And he turned to me and go, "I don't like it when you swear, Daddy." I'm going to go to school. I'm going to tell all my friends. It was like, yeah, I've taught you well, son. Daddy needs to learn
Yeah.
to not be reactive, because there's a
Y-
classic example. And he's 8 years old, Zach. He's taught me
Yeah.
a lesson from an eight
You know
year
what's
old. So,
Yeah, you want to know what's the funniest thing in the world, Joel? You and I sit here before our show, before we hit record, and what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about?
yeah,
You said that we were going to bring up the tax thing, and our hour, unfortunately, is has come to an end. But here's the sad thing, okay? And I said, you know what? We're in the situation right now where domestic violence in the United States goes up drastically right now because of all the sporting events, bowl games, the Super Bowl, all this other stuff. Okay. And you got to remember, this is what the kids see. This is what the kids
yeah,
see is okay. If dad's doing it, then it's got to be all right.
yeah,
You know, I want to grow up and I want to be like daddy. I want to grow
yeah,
up and yeah, okay, so dad gets a little wacky when the football team is on. So, he changes a little and then he gets mad, but this is what I have to, this is what who dad is. No, it's not. Stop
yeah,
that shit. No, it's not.
yeah,
Stop. And look, I'm terrible at this. I know right now my hockey team, look, this is like the third podcast in a row. You don't see me wearing anything New Jersey Devils. First time I think ever that I've went through three podcasts without wearing anything New Jersey Devils, because I am so angry at them right now because they suck so bad right now. Thing is that I have to realize, win or lose, who gives a shit?
yeah,
Who gives a shit? That doesn't affect my life. And it definitely does not affect my child's life one bit.
yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm going to wake up tomorrow and my life is going to be drastically different. Did
No,
my team win the Super Bowl? No. Hell, the team that I've rooted for since I was a kid didn't even make the playoffs this year. They've won a couple Super Bowls lately, but they didn't even make the playoffs this year. Did I cuss about it? Did I get frustrated? I did not give a rat's
mm,
ass about. I could not. I seriously could not care less that
yeah,
because it's not important in the scheme of things.
yeah. Do you know
Now
what's
with
really interesting?
When the Devils lose, I get pissed. I mean that
Yeah,
matters. That matters.
but you know what? You know what really is interesting in this is, again, yeah, I am frustrated at my accountant, but I've managed to speak with them. A solution's being in place. Me and them are going to part ways, whether they realise it or not. But the thing which comes out of all this for me is, when all that frustration has come up with them and things, it's like, why has that come up for me? What have I still got to work on? What is there in the background there that feels upset, that feels hurt, that feels whatever it is? So it's actually been a really, it's actually been quite a, I don't even know how to put it, quite a sort of digging into that skeleton closet to pull some of that out and to actually look at that. Does that make sense? So in a way,
Yeah.
and it has impacted on my sleep this weekend, because it is a word where they
Oh
come with
yeah.
£3.5 tax bill and this, that, and the other. But also I was able to put some solution in place, which has led to communication with them today that to get that corrected. But it also has been a lot of development work for me. I don't just talk about my stuff, Zach, and then go through the
Mhm.
program. I do it myself, and it has brought quite a lot to the surface this weekend. So despite being quite tired, a bit exhausted, because it is a lot mentally to bring stuff out of your cupboard and to face it and deal with it, it will make me a better person. Obviously, I'm not going to be the same accountant going forwards, but it has made me a better person in how I look at certain things and similar things that come up. Because I talk about this with Rewired to Men. You know, part of Rewired to Men is working through your emotional triggers, your shit. So you're no longer impacted by your own story of shit, no longer impacted by other people's story of shit. And it gives you the skill and the ability to clear through some fundamental things in the sessions with me, but also empowering you with a skill that things do come up. And like this weekend, I deliver UI for men, but if you've had 40 odd years of doing it in a certain way, you do get dramatic change going through my sessions, but you've also then got to deal with even deeper stuff. And I know I'm getting to a point in my life that some of that deeper stuff and skeletons in the closet, there ain't that many left anymore, Zach, because I am
Yeah.
dealing with them and I am becoming a healthier person, whatever phrase you want to use. But now and again, it obviously is life does what it does. We talked about this before. Life goes, oh, you think you're sorting this out, do you? Here's this curveball.
Yeah.
Let's really test out where you're at with that one. Catch that
Yep.
one.
Yep, that's exactly it. And you know what, Joel, I think you make a good point. Okay, there are always going to be things that are going to come up and punch you right in the gut. There are going to be things that come up and they're going to punch you so damn hard you didn't see them coming.
Yeah,
That's going to happen. It's going to happen. Get ready for it. And you know what? There's going to be times that you're going to sit there and you're going to want to just blow your fuse because it's like, what the hell do I have to do? Calm down.
mm,
Let's take a, put it, put it down, walk away.
yeah,
Perfect time to go and play that 15 minutes with your son, your
yeah,
daughter. Perfect time because no matter what that kick in the gut is, playing with them is what's actually going to affect the rest of your life more
yeah, yeah,
because they are there. That's your life. This is this is reality. They are your life. Okay.
yeah,
And if they grow up and they have that resentment towards you because you know what, all you did was this, then you know that's that's going to be a real hard lesson to learn.
yeah.
So
And again, the final piece saying this is when I look at my dad, I got more understanding about why he does what he does. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong about what he did in the past, but I guess what's important is, to some degree, that ship has kind of sailed between me and my dad because the age that I am, the age he is. But what matters is what can I do for my kids? Do you know what I mean? What can I do for him? And that's where that piece comes in from that degree. Johnny, like you said, it's focusing on where you are now and going back to what I said, the 15 minutes 4 times a week. And if I can do that, then I'm doing well and I'm doing what I can. And then again, it's doing what you can do now. And whether that relationship changes with my dad or not, or him becoming more involved with granddad or not, I can't do anything about that. What I can do is right now, what I can do with my son, because like you said, he's 8 years old, he's 9 in a couple of weeks, but by a blink of an eye, he'll be 19, or he'll be
yeah,
29, or he'll be
yeah,
39. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how it is. Look at him now coming up to his ninth birthday, it's like, holy shit, where's the last 5 years gone? Where's the last 6 years gone? And a lot of people commented last year. I don't know about you, Zach, but I really did feel last year went blink of an eye, click of a thing. It went so quick. And I think the nature of society we find ourselves in, that this year is just going to go quicker and quicker and quicker. And if anything, there was a really good film. I can't remember what it was called, in where, and this is off piece, but relating again, last reflective point for me, really. I think it's called Switch or Click or something. Basically, a guy who's in his life and someone passes him a remote control, a figure of like God authority,
click,
passing him
click. Great movie. Adam
Great
Sandler,
movie,
Kate Beckinsale.
absolutely
Yeah, great movie.
brilliant
Yeah,
film. But the irony of this, what he wants to do, he wants to fast forward the argument with his wife or his neighbour or whatever, and eventually, fast for a few seconds turns into minutes, turns into hours, turns into days. But by the end of the film, he's lost all touch with reality in his life, and it's like, yeah, it really echoes what we're talking about here. We might have those moments where you want to fast forward that uncomfortableness with our wife or husband or the solicitor or the accountant in my case, or this, that, and the other. But that's life. Life is,
yeah,
is the exciting points and the high points, but it's also the low points and the boring points and the tedious points. All that makes life what it is. And someone said to me that, if it was all the high life, it would be crap. It would be crap waking up every day and everything's fucking perfect. Excuse me, language on that. What would be the point in life? But it's also not coming going, my life's doom, gloom, and despair, because that's rubbish as well. That's boring. I think sometimes you need a doom, gloom, and despair in taking accountability for your actions, because only you can control you can't control the people, to then actually really appreciate the other side of it. And despite me talking about my tax bill here, which obviously has turned out that there is a way to correct it, one thing I am really getting well at is remembering, particularly for me, and I'm teaching this to my son, the power of gratitude. You cannot underestimate the power of gratitude. Because I know literally round corner from me where I live, there's people out on the streets freezing their asses off. Don't whether they cause that or not is irrelevant. But factually, there are people out there freezing their asses off who, at the times in the UK, when it's dropped to -3 or -5, they have no shelter, they have no roof over their head. Because that's the reality check. And we're supposed to be a developed country from that degree. And statistics have come out recently, Zach, and again, a point to think about. We have a massive population of children and young people on the streets who don't have shit. And we're a developed country, Zach. It's frightening. So for me, I've always got to do. And like you, I wake up in the morning and I'm grateful that yes, some of these problems that I have directly and indirectly were caused by me. But shit, I'm dressed, got a roof over my head, I've got water, I got food in the fridge. Because people in this country, this developed country of the UK, in literally 500 meters from where I live, they don't have that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even Africa. I'm not talking about Africa here or war zones. I'm talking about backyard shit, Zach. I'm thinking it's really important to have a reality check sometimes as well.
You know, I live here in the land of milk and honey, where we control the world's economy. We have all this other stuff, and we have our veterans that are sleeping on the streets, and we've got everything. We are the world's leader in everything, quote unquote. Huh? No. No, we don't. So we really need to make sure that what we are people who care, because there are people out there, and like you said, we need to really look at what we've got. We need to look at who we are and be thankful, because regardless the ups and the downs, only we can make our lives perfect.
Yeah,
And every time
yeah.
that we look into our children's eyes, every time that I look into my grandchildren's eyes, every time I look into my wife's eyes, every time I look into my mother, my father, every time I look into their eyes, you just need to take and look around the people who you've got and say, you know what? It's a small thing, but look around every once in a while and just say, you know what? It may not be perfect, but damn, it's good. This is good, you know? And I'm good. I'm good right now. And we need to do that more often. And we need to, you're right. Stuff like taxes, death and taxes, two things that you can depend on. Death and taxes. Those are the two things that are coming at you no matter what you do. Okay. Death and taxes. And cockroaches, apparently. They live forever too. But um uh
True.
and Twinkies, thank God for that. But the truth is that look, life doesn't have to be perfect to be good.
Yeah,
And my version of good is going to be different than your version of good.
absolutely.
And the truth is that somebody else can have everything that you want, but do you have what you need? Because then that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
So,
think that, you know what, that's a beautiful point to end on. I love that mic drop a little bit there. Yeah, spot on.
Joel, how do people get a hold of you, brother?
Yeah, people get hold of me through my website, www.rewiredformen.com. Have a look at my website. If you go on my website, there's a pop-up that will come up where you can put in some basic details and you can download a free guide called Always Running Quietly Numb that just brings in some of the things I've talked about unconscious beliefs, how they impact on a man's life, particularly around money, work, and relationships, and just some little bits that you can put into practice to help start to change that shift. You can have a look at my LinkedIn profile as well, Rewired for Men. There's some great posts on there I don't just do shouty. I put things on there and make people think. And through that as well on LinkedIn and through my website, you can book in my diary for a 30-minute call, discovery call, whatever you call it, just to learn a bit more about what I do, to see if I'm right for you and if you're right for me. Nice and simple.
Yeah, and if you wanna jump on the telephone, you wanna talk to him, get a hold of me, and I can connect you with his WhatsApp number. If you're here in the States, easy way to get a hold of him. I'll make an introduction. A great guy to get a hold of, Joel. As always, great show, man. I
So,
love it. I appreciate everything that we do. Look, uh, we would like to talk to you. We want to hear from you. So please
yeah,
like, comment, subscribe. If you want to come on and you want to talk to us, if you have something that you would like to talk to us about privately, get a hold of us. Okay, it
mm,
doesn't have to be all of this camera. Well, camera's
yeah,
got to be there, but it doesn't have to be in front of people. Look, we're here because you know what, we have made those poor choices.
yeah,
We're trying to lessen how they affect our lives, and we'd like to tell you what we went through, and maybe it can help you through your life. I promise you that I will never say, "Oh, I know exactly what you're going through."
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
don't. No, I don't. I
I
don't
would
have
yeah,
a clue. I know what I went through. Joel knows what he went through, but we know that we can help discuss options. We know that we can tell you what we went through, and maybe it can help you to rewire your life. So, uh,
absolutely. Can I just say a couple of bits on there as well, which is also
yeah,
really
please.
whoever does come on this show, whether they send a question or come on as a guest, being on camera or not on camera, believe me, you won't be the only man out there going through it. There'll be plenty more in your situation. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important to acknowledge. And the other thing is, you won't be the first and you won't be the last. You really won't be. Do you know what I mean? And
Yep.
yeah,
And don't,
your question might actually lead to the answer that you need because I believe we all have our own answers inside ourselves. You might also help a lot of other people out there and empower them as well to do things differently.
yeah, but see, here's the one trick to that. Okay. Just because there are other people out there with the same question, don't leave it to them to ask
Yeah,
because maybe they're afraid of asking as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Step up, step up, ask the question, get the answer.
Beautiful. Thank you again, Zach. It's been a cracking show, and I'm already looking forward to next month.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
I agree, brother. Thank you so very much. And we'll be talking about the same time next month. I'm already looking forward to it. This is a great show. Again, one of my favorite. I love spending the time with you. Hard to believe one of my best friends is in the UK. I kind of
I'm
funny
honoured,
how that
dude.
happens. So,
Honoured.
but hey, everybody, join us next week. Please remember, okay, look, truth is, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. All right. Love someone out there because someone out here loves you. Thank you for joining us this week. And join us again next month for Rewired for Men. Join us by coming on the show. You can do that
Mm,
too. So,
yeah.
and look forward to everything else that we've got coming on. Look, this is a place where we can really help each other by being together. So, thank you very
Beautiful.
much. We'll see you next month.
Bye bye.